What up, y'all? It's Prob here, coming at you from 7,600 trophies. I haven't uploaded anything in a while because I haven't been too active, like, even though I have done a couple streams. But, I'm trying to go for 8k trophies right now. So, right now I'm 7,600. Let me show you the last four games that got me here. And hopefully, I will be able to get to 8,000 trophies by the end of the season, but I'm not really sure because like there's so much shit taking my time. But I still enjoy Clash, and I will try really hard to get to 8k. I want an 8k season finish before the end of the year. So here I start with a Skelly Barrel in the safe spot. He goes for Tombstone, so I'm already thinking either Lavaloon or Splashard. That fireball there was really bad actually because the barrel would have popped anyway, but the guy went for a zap, so it doesn't really matter. Our elixir should be kind of equal. I'm gonna go for a log at the bridge, and he's just still leaking, so I go for Spear Gobs. I'm kind of just poking to see his cards. They only showed me Tombstone so far, but as soon as I see the Mega Minion, I know that it's Lavaloon. I go for a Knight in the back, and I try to already set up the first push. Go for a Skelly Barrel in the back, I think, yeah. And I pulled a Fire Bulldoze, but I chose to go for a Musky instead because he's definitely not going to put a Lava in front of them, and that means I can cycle to the next Musky before he goes for that. My Mortar is on the Tombstone. If I had quick reaction times, I could have gone for a log, getting my Mortar locked on his tower sooner, but it doesn't really matter because my Mortar is going to get locked on his tower now. And I already get a pretty good damage lead, which in these matchups is not that important against Lavaloon to have a damage lead at the start. It's more important to just not let them break through because eventually you are gonna get their tower as long as you defend perfectly. You just gotta make sure that they don't take yours first. So I'll go for a Skelly Barrel opposite lane in the back. People usually ask me why I go for Skelly Barrels in the back because it's not a very popular move with any deck. But in Mortar Bait, it's really nice to go for Skelly Barrels in the back when you wanna delay your opponent's respawns. It's kind of like when you go for an Elixir Pump and you get the elixir later. So with the Skelly Barrel, you kind of put it in the back, and your opponent is gonna have to deal with it later. So you're making sure he's not gonna have enough elixir for his push. So here he just went for his zap. That means that I can go for a really insane push here with the Spear Gobs. The Spear Gobs go in front of the Musketeer, allowing it to stay way longer. And I also went for the Prelog thinking he would go for Barbarians or Tombstone, but he didn't put anything down. Doesn't really matter because we get a bunch of damage on the right as well, and that gives us the opportunity to go double lane. Here he goes for a pretty aggressive push at the bridge. I try to go for a Mortar and a second Musketeer on his Loon. A well-placed Fireball here should defend everything, and look at that perfect Fireball. No damage whatsoever. The Goblin game was kind of like an overcommit because I didn't expect to get a Fireball that good, but it's fine because in the meantime we've got damage on the left with our delayed Scarrels. If they don't deal with them, they're gonna take most of their towers, so it's really a lose-lose situation for them. Either they don't support their push, or they're just gonna lose their tower. Here I go for a Mortar, just apply some pressure. I try to just cycle Log and Musketeer because I'm trying to finish his tower as quickly as possible, but I see here that I have to defend. So I'll go for some Spear Gobs, and I think, yeah, that Mortar was really bad. I don't know why I still expected it to pull the Loon. Doesn't really matter though, because we have such a damage lead that 2 Loon hits on our tower are nothing. And yeah, that log was also bad because I played it slightly too late, meaning that my Mortar couldn't reconnect on tower. But it didn't matter in the end because the Mortar still get the shot. Here I could have actually just fireballed this tower and won because the fireball is 274, but you know, I didn't do it. Oopsie. I guess I win anyway. This was the first match against Rainy Mood. Lumber, Loon, Tombstone. Classic deck. By the way, sorry for the noises in the background. I'm kind of chilling with my friends. They're playing Delver right now. Delver is a super cool game. Seriously recommend it if you like dungeon crawlers. But the next one is against Funny. This guy is running Splashard, but with Mighty Miner, which is not a super popular variant, honestly. But it works. It's like the second best champion variant of Splashard after Skeleton King. So I try to go for a Skelly Barrel at the bridge, as I usually do, and I'm already hovering my Fireball, thinking if he might have something. He goes for a Tombstone, I don't really need my Fireball, but I can still go for a log. I go for a 90 instead though, but that is kind of a mistake. I should have definitely just gone for a log at the bridge. He gets me some cheap damage and he prevents all this damage here. Wow. Yeah, that was a really bad night. But we go at the bridge with Goblin Gang opposite just to not leak and to apply a little bit of pressure. By now I realize what deck it is, and he activates the ability, but it's a very bad ability. I go for my next Mortar at the bridge, thinking that I can overwhelm, and if I didn't misplace this log, that would have actually worked quite well. If my Mortar actually targeted this Tombstone, it would have just targeted the Tyrant immediately after. But the timing doesn't work out, so we just need to defend this Baby Dragon now and reset and accept our fate. If you defend Baby Dragon on defense with just a Goblin Gang instead of a Knight, you actually get 2 Spear Gobs or out of their counter push, and it's the same elixir, but you need to place it behind the tower so that they fully counter the Baby Dragon. I go for Excalibur of the bridge opposite lane in the safe spot, and he's probably gonna activate his king here, so I go for a Mortar to pressure. This forces him to play something, and therefore denying his king activation. So what happened there basically is a new kind of trick that I've started to use against decks with Tornado, which is if you go on with a Mortar in the middle, right as they would be using their NATO, it really fucks up their timing because most players hover their NATO before they play it, and that means they're not gonna have their finger ready to distract the Mortar with anything. So they have to bring the finger all the way back to their hand and choose the next card and then place it. And usually if you make the timing really tight, like you place your Mortar in such a way that the timer runs out exactly when they will place their NATO, you can get either a Mortar connection or negate their king activation out of that. So here I go at the bridge. I also use a log to reset his Mighty Miner so that my Skellies and Musky and Knight can kill it. At the same time, my Mortar is chipping away at the Ice Whiz and Tombstone, and I can already go for my next Skelly Barrel in the back. This guy goes for Baby Dragon Graveyard at the bridge, which is honestly the best push that Splashard players can make against you. But luckily I had my login cycle, so I minimized the damage. Still gets a lot of damage despite all the cards that I played, which really shows you like how strong a Baby Dragon Graveyard push at the bridge is. So we get some more cheap damage. The trick with the Skelly Barrels, if you can bypass Tombstones, is to just get the death damage over and over again. It's kind of like a mini balloon, if you think about it. Skelly Barrel is just like a very low-key version of Balloon. But just the death damage can often win you games if you defend consistently. So keep that in mind if you ever play those games that are kinda, 200, 300 damage at the tiebreaker kind of games. Here I go for a Mortar in the, I call this the anti-Sparky position, but I've been using it more and more for all kinds of stuff. As you see, the Mortar there targets the Mighty Miner, and it actually hits the tower as well while the Mighty Miner passes by. You can use that against Sparkies, Bowlers, literally any card that passes from the inside of the tower, of the Princess Tower. You can get a sneaky Mortar shot on their tower out of that. So here I already have enough for damage lead that I can just kinda wait till the tiebreaker. But I know that if I let him fall back on offense, he might overwhelm me despite of how well I play. That is how strong Splashard is when they lock you on defense. So I'm kinda still pushing, still kinda just waste his time. Not to take his tower necessarily, more just so that he can't go for a push like this at the bridge, you know? I should have gone for a log here actually instead of a Goblin Gang because I'm just giving him poison value, but he lets my Mortar lock onto his tower, and this is just game over. I Fireball, I log, and it's GG. That was game number 2. This one against Funny Splashard Mighty Miner. Great deck. So the next one is gonna be Lavaloon Mighty Miner. So we played Lavaloon, we played Mighty Miner. Now we're gonna play Lavaloon Mighty Miner against Arsenic. This one is a deck that got popularized a lot by Carl the Legend. He has a YouTube channel if you guys want to check it out. This guy literally got 20 win challenges with Lavaloon Mighty Miner. Yeah, you heard it right. It's 20 times 20 wins, like with 20 different accounts in the 20 win challenge. This guy is crazy with this deck, and He really popularized it. This is, in my opinion, the best Mighty Miner deck in the game. Probably not even my opinion, like objectively speaking. And it's really hard to defend against some of these pushes when they time all of their cards right. But to answer his lava in the back, you always want to go for your Musketeer. You want to cycle your Musketeers in order to play as many of them as possible. And this push at the start already got me into a tricky situation because of my starting hand. So I tried to go for Excalibur for the Mega Minion, but it gets carried away. Still defending the Loon with Mortar. I go for Spear Gobs, but it zaps them away. Luckily, my Musketeer should be able to get a shot on that Loon since the Mega Minion walks away. And I get out of that interaction the winner because I get way more damage than him. A nicely timed log almost kills the Mighty Miner, but Arsenic here activates his ability, so he prevents pretty much me taking his whole tower right then and there. I go for a Excalibur at the bridge, I think, next, or maybe in the back, depending on what he does. He's probably gonna go for a Tombstone. Yeah, I should have probably gone at the bridge. Like, I should have expected him to go for Tombstone and just predicted at the bridge with Excalibur, but it still works out in the end. I go for a Musketeer here, trying to snipe the Tombstone, but I actually fuck it up. And this is a really bad situation because I made 2 mistakes in a row. The Excalibur in the back and the Musketeer, the river, were really bad, so I kinda have to overcommit. And luckily for me, he kinda misses his Mega Minion and his Mighty Miner, so I make 2 mistakes, but he also makes 2 mistakes, which kind of puts him in this situation where he can't support his push too much. He could have just gone for a Luna at the bridge right then and there, and that would have been really, really fucked, but he didn't. He kept supporting the left with that zap, so I kind of still got the upper hand there despite my overcommitment. I just kept going on the left and kind of just went with my mistake. Here I use a little trick called blocking the lava at the bridge. If you place your mortar right there, then the lava gets blocked at the bridge and the Loon walks in front. So you can get another Musketeer or some Spear Gobs or even your tower to just lock on the Loon in order to kill it before you have to DPS down the lava. A knife here should help out my Musket to clean everything up. And I already go for the next mortar because I want to just stay on offense. I don't want him to build a big push and eventually overwhelm me. I already have the advantage, so I can afford to just spam my Musketeers at the river. He can't really build a big push in the back because if he tries to do that, I'll just take his tower in the meantime. This is not really possible if you don't have this big of a lead by the end of the game. So my Musketeer locks on the tower, I go for a Fireball, and that was game number 3. Now for the last game, the game that put me all the way to 7,600, I have this one match against Legione Nando. Really good giant Sparky player, as you can see by his profile. He got a top 40 finish. And this is honestly not a really good matchup at all. Now, Mortar Bait is not necessarily bad against Sparky decks. GG Sparky, at least the classic one, or, pretty much every GG Sparky variant that doesn't have Mother Witch, is a good matchup for Mortar Bait. But these giant Sparky variants, the ones with Nado, really fuck you up because your opponent can get a lot of value out of just a single Nado by clamping all of your ground troops together. I don't really have any flying troops other than the Skelly Barrel, so you can see how that can get ugly very quickly when it hits all of my troops at the same time with a Sparky. Here I try to snipe the Sparky with the anti-Sparky position, and the Fireball log plus 2 mortar shots actually does end up killing a Sparky, but he distracted my mortar with a Ewiz, so I had to go for log and Goblin Gang just to kind of kill it before this guy could build a push out of it. And this kind of leaves me with a small deficit in Elixir, which is going to make this defense really, really hard. So I'm going to try to defend this without a mortar because I feel like he could really overwhelm me at the bridge there. And he goes for that Nado. You can see that if I played literally anything else there, it would have been Nadoed to the Musketeer, and I couldn't have done much about it. So here I go for a log and Scar me. This guy does get a bunch of damage on my tower with the Giant, but it would have been a lot worse if the Sparky connected. So I'm not too worried about the counter push here. I don't need to be in the damage lead at all times in this matchup. Because this guy kind of just wants to take my tower all in one push. So I don't really care if he's just chipping away slowly throughout the game. As long as my tower is standing, he doesn't really have anything to take it, just the Nado and the Zap. So I'm gonna go for Spirit Globes at the bridge, try to be annoying, but he completely ignores it. He also doesn't care about me damaging his tower. He just wants to take mine before I take his. I'm gonna go for a Muskie in the back to start defending his giant. You really do want to stack Musketeers in this matchup, but the Nado makes it a lot harder. As you can see here, I go for that log, double mortar shot, and fireball to kill the Sparky, and I'm consistently getting cheap damage on his tower with those fireballs. So as you can see, like I killed this push before it even crossed the bridge, and he couldn't really support it like that. He defended everything with a very nice fireball and heal spirit, and he's already trying to build his next push. I'm gonna try to go for the same kind of defense again, but he gets some cheap damage with the Iwis. That doesn't really matter. I go for a mortar for his Sparky, and I try to get another one of those double mortar shot, log, and fireball combo. He nados everything together there. As you saw with that nado, like that is how this matchup is really hard for Mortar Bait. If you give him value there, and there is really no way to not give him value, they can get an insane push that just ends up overwhelming you, and you can't do anything about it. So here I go for a mortar, try to defend everything by pulling it to the center, since I already know that my musketeer would be too late to DPS everything down anyway. I stun the Iwis with that log, allowing me my spear goods to kill it, and that is going to be really important there. So I fireball the Sparky again. My mortar only gets one shot, so log is not going to kill the Sparky, especially because he just killed it here. So I need to go for another mortar, and I really needed to lock onto the Sparky and kill it. Otherwise I'm gonna be in a world of pain here. It really doesn't. So I go for my Goblin Gang, I go for my Spear Gobs, and I go for my log, hoping to kill everything. I do. I also pull everything in the middle with a knight, and my mortar kills the heal spirit, which was very important there, so that I could defend everything without spending more elixir. And I think here I could go aggressive and just try to get his tower so that I don't have to keep going for these crazy defenses. But it is safer to just kind of chill on defense and wait for the tiebreaker. It sounds boring, but he could really outplay me with just one prediction if I try to go aggressive and when defensive at the right moment. Because a counter push with just like 2 elixir more, 3 elixir more than me is already enough to completely kill me. I can only go in with my own counter pushes. I predict the mini P.E.K.K.A there with the Goblin Gang plus log, and that kind of puts me at a position where I can just double fireball his tower or fireball log, and that is exactly what I do, getting me the last win to 7,600 trophies. I hope I'll be able to upload another video before the end of the season for 8k trophies, but if I don't upload it, that probably means I tilted trying to get to 8,000 trophies. And yeah, I'm really sorry about not uploading a lot of videos on YouTube recently. I've just been really busy with life, just kind of living my life. I'm not living with my parents anymore, you know, staying home all day and playing Clash. But I'll try to be more consistent with the streams. I am still streaming semi-consistently, you know, weekly at least. So yeah, thank you guys so much for watching this, and see you in the next one. Bye!